Okay, we're back. This is War 9 of Season 13, which ended up becoming officially an off-season war. But we were up against ASR. I'm going to be taking Path 7 this war, my first time doing the full hidden path this season. So, Node 7 is Breakthrough, which just means that you're going to deal a lot less damage. They have a massive armor rating. Until you kind of break their armor down a little bit. So I knew that this was Magik coming in. So I brought in Domino, and I'm just going to be parry heavy. Now this is kind of cool. I am lucky, she's unlucky. Limbo does proc, but I take 0 damage. So that's just some nice RNG for me. Due to Domino's lucky and unlucky, which is pretty cool. I came into this fight expecting to take some energy damage from her Limbo, and it was definitely an awesome surprise that I did not have to deal with that. So I'm going to finish her off here with an L2, and that's it for that fight. That went a little bit better than I thought. Again, saving some pots, which is going to come into play here at the end of the war. So this next fight, again, I take a screenshot there so you can do the scatterbot calculator. And it is a Mr. Sinister. I anticipated a Mr. Sinister because he was not placed elsewhere on the map, and I'm going to be using Rulk for this fight. It's Bubble Shield, so after blocking a 10th incoming hit from the defender's next attack is going to be unblockable. So I did speed this fight up a little bit just because it's pretty much the same thing on repeat. Every Rulk fight is going to essentially be the same thing on repeat. What I'm going to try to do is just parry as much as I can. I don't have suicides. As you can see, I'm not taking any recoil damage. I'm trying to bait the L1 and then evade that. Sometimes I'm punishing, sometimes I'm not. At the beginning of this fight, I really wanted to be super safe, so I was not punishing the L1, but at the end, towards the end, I do start to punish the L1. But Rulk is really great for Mr. Sinister. Because he relies mostly on his second strike damage, which is direct physical damage based on the actual attack damage that he gets on his hits, and then also boosted a little bit by his heat charges. So the fight did take a minute and a half, which was longer than I thought it would take, but that's okay. This is Aegis Heavy. And long distance relationship, that's not really a huge factor here, but Aegis Heavy, we did the Scatterbot, and it is champion, so this is just complete Symbiote Supreme food. I'm just going to start the fight. There's no limber on this node either, so it's just super easy. I'm going to start the fight obviously with parries and heavies, and then you do get to nullify or remove one of the indestructibles for each component of the heavies. So attackers with multiple hit heavies are really good for Aegis Heavy. But again, this is just matchup based here. Symbiote Supreme just completely destroys champion. So the way to play Symbiote Supreme, I am certainly not an expert, but I have learned a lot from my alliance mates. You want to get to that L3, of course, so you can activate all of your genetic blessings. And I do have 4 out of 5 Mystic Dispersion throughout this war too, so that definitely helps. But yeah, this is pretty much get to your first L3. I should have thrown that L2, but I was in the middle of a combo and I honestly wasn't paying attention to my power meter. I ended up accidentally getting to another L3. Not a huge deal, obviously, but that L2 honestly probably would have killed him. So all I'm doing right now is wasting time. And we're 90 seconds into this fight, so it does end quickly with all those bleeds and the staggers, so I do finish right under 90 seconds, but getting that L2 off when you have all 3 of your genetic blessings is a pretty good strategy. Okay, so I'm going to be taking Human Torch here. I'm going to be using Rulk. Here, I'm just trying to kind of see where I can save. This node is Aggression Armor with Pessimist, and then we usually take it linked because the link is explosive personality. The other link is the one where you have to hit him 15 times and not lose your combo before you start doing damage. I don't know why I can't remember what that's called right now, but so anyway, this fight is pretty straightforward. I did take a nice little combo there like an idiot, but all I'm doing is baiting the L1. I'm blocking everything. You can't obviously evade his L1, but you know, in war, it's just not worth it. Although it's doing considerably more block damage than I assumed that it would, which is not great. So I try to get off a couple L2s to regenerate a little bit of health. But basically, this is just a block, parry, full combo type of fight. You know, I think partly what makes Rulk so amazing, especially on like the bulwark meta and stuff like that, is just that he's so simple to play. So, okay, here on node 30, did the Scouter, and it is Annihilus. Now, I only am going to use a 10% champ boost here. My whole thought process was I am going to be using Symbiote Supreme for several more fights this war, and I don't want him to be super boosted because I know that I'm going to have to heal him. But as you'll see in this fight, I take more damage than I wanted to, and I didn't even get hit in this fight, so I just took a ton of block damage. I really wanted to bait his L1 because it's pretty easy to evade. And his L2 does a lot of damage through the block, so, but I didn't want to get backed into the corner, so I just figured I would play it safe and cost me some damage. But same deal here as with Champion. I'm just going to get to that first L3, still have 4 out of 5 Mystic Dispersion. And from here, basically, you're just going to be cycling L2s and L3s. With Mystic Dispersion, sometimes you get slightly more power than you wanted to get, and so you have to throw those L3s instead of the L2s, and those L2s can just end the fight. But yeah, just being super safe, and there it is. So alright, so the next fight, we did a Scouter, we calculated it through the Scouter bot, and I assumed going in, actually, that this was going to be Elsa Bloodstone. So there are like 8 or 9 champions, most of them female champs, that have exactly the same Scatterbot results, or produce exactly the same Scatterbot results. This is linked with Feats of Power, and then it's also got Protection Shielding. But so I thought that it was going to be Elsa, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but as I was on the map screen moving, Path 8 had an Elsa too, so I was thinking, okay, they duped Elsa, not a bad dupe, especially on Hidden Path, because you really need to have a mutant to deal with Elsa, especially if she's placed with suicides. But it is Emma Frost, and I think that this is probably the most annoying fight of the entire war. So I was like, oh, okay, Emma Frost, not a big deal. I'll just block, I'll get her over a bar of power, and I'll throw my special. And, you know, obviously this fight is sped up. I apologize for that a little bit, but really this video is not a video to feature a Domino versus Emma fight. It is to feature other fights, and this fight ended up being really long. So I wanted to speed this up a little bit. You guys ought to know how to fight Emma Frost by now. I'm playing it super safe with the specials. Again, I prefer to play it super safe in war. It is natural to try to evade those, but even if you fail evading her specials, you know, 1 or 2% of the time, a lot of times that can end up being a death, especially on this map. This new map is a little less forgiving than the old map. So being super safe, blocking all the specials, not trying to punish, that kind of stuff. All right. So my champ boosts have fallen off, which was by design, because again, I knew that I was going to heal Symbiote Supreme. I have 3 more Symbiote Supreme fights left. What I'm doing right now, actually, is I am throwing on, or I have my mutant boosts still on. Oh, I guess I took those off. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be going into this fight with Symbiote Supreme for obvious reasons here. And this is a close encounter, so I'm going to degen anytime I'm further away from the defender, and then regen when I'm close. The degen is pretty hefty. So what I'm trying to do is bait out his L1, but he's just being really stingy with that, which is a little bit annoying. And in the meantime, I'm taking some damage. So I do have the armor up right now, which is nice. He does bait, and I'm just going to throw my L3 right away so that I can get all the genetic blessings. And then basically any war fight with Symbiote Supreme, especially if you have Mystic Dispersion, once you get to an L3, it's difficult to lose the fight. So I get to the L3, get all my genetic blessings because of all the buffs that I stagger and Mystic Dispersion. I get right to an L2, and then L2 basically wrecks him. And then, of course, Mystic Dispersion gets me all the way back up to an L3 in conjunction with the Power Steal that I'm doing from the L2. So anyway, okay, this is my last Domino fight here. It's Invisible Woman on Counter Tactics and Special Delivery. I do like this placement. I've never seen her placed here before, but I like it a lot. So what I did at the beginning of the fight was just back off, let her invisibility fall off so that I could parry her and do my heavy and incinerator. And then, of course, I took a combo like a complete idiot. So here, her invisibility, this is a SIG 200, so it's a long invisibility, but actually I'm not even sure that, I don't know if I misspoke, but I'm going to pump her with this L2, and look at that fucking crit bleed. That is just so crazy. 3,200 per tick, and this is with no suicides, just super awesome. Alright, then I just have to evade that last component of the L1, and I can punish that, and Domino is done for the world. Alright, I have 2 more fights left with Symbiote Supreme. I've got Medusa here, and then I've got Aarkus on node 53. I don't even pull up the node buffs on this one, but it is physical resistance, so not good for Quake. Not good for standard damage dealers. Corvus and Ghost can still get through because their damage is just so insane. Now, if you noticed, this node has nothing about like immunity or anything like that, and I was not getting staggers, so she got to living strands right away, which was super weird. But I do get to my L3. I'm going to throw this L3. And then it's kind of the same game here. I just want to pay attention to her Furies, make sure that I'm, if I get some bad RNG, it is unblockable 1, obviously. But I'm just going to stack those bleeds. In this entire war, by the way, I haven't mentioned it yet, but I do have 5 out of 5 deep wounds because I knew that I would be using Symbiote Supreme quite a bit. I get off a nice L2 there, and then I'm able to get the L3 again. And this fight is over. Basically, at this point, it's just being super safe. I'm going to throw one more L2, and that will blast her. Okay, so the next fight, the Aarkus fight, is there was some changes. Okay, so you'll notice up at the top I have 4 mastery slots open. I switched my masteries. I removed all of the crits, precision and cruelty, because I'm going to be facing Man-Thing after this. And you see I had greater attack or greater strength, 5 out of 5, or 3 out of 3 courage for that extra attack, and then 3 out of 3 glass cannon for that extra attack. My whole point is I threw on an invulnerability boost. My plan is to finish this fight as quickly as I can. Go directly into masteries after this fight, take off all of the utility masteries, and put full suicides with full recoil for the Man-Thing fight, and hopefully enter that Man-Thing fight before my invulnerability boost has worn off. So that's the reason that I was setting up my mastery build for this fight, or I'm sorry, for the Man-Thing fight prior to this fight, because I knew that I was going to be having to use the invulnerability boost. So I did take one hit earlier in the fight. I was fortunate that he didn't get me with a full combo, so that would be my second invulnerability hit. I get one more, so I can tank one more L3, which is fine. I'm going to throw my L3 here. He has an L3, so he'll hit me with the L3 after I get this off. But again, once you get to the L3, fight's pretty much over here. And one of the genetic blessings being the armor. Even if I didn't have an invulnerability boost here, it wouldn't really be a huge deal. I think my damage would be limited to 15% on his L3. So, you know, Symbiote Supreme is a pretty safe attacker if you know how to play her. And again, I don't even know how to play him. I don't even know how to play him very well. I'm not like an expert or anything like that. So that is my last indestructible charge, but I do get to an L2, and I'm able to backdraft, intercept him, and throw that. Okay, so I have 1 minute left on my indestructible boost. So this is not sped up. I am going as fast as I can. I'm like triple tapping the screen every time, and you can just see how slow this system is, knowing that I am in an extreme rush here. I only have one invulnerability boost remaining. And at this point in War 9, obviously we're not aware that the season is going to abruptly end after this and that we're going to get a 3-week break. So I'm like, all right, cool. I got to save this last invulnerability boost, but I don't want to take this Man-Thing boss without invulnerability. So I'm trying desperately to rush, and it looks like I am just taking my sweet time because this system is so slow. This is probably the most annoying aspect of War, is changing masteries, having to spend units on it, and then just in rare situations like these, just it taking so long. It's just so annoying. But anyway, so again, my plan here on offense, I have maximum attack, no crit related masteries, maximum suicides, maximum recoil. I'm only going to be using the L3 with Rulk, so I don't care. I'm not going to be affected by recoil. And then because I have max suicides, and because I know that I'm going to be taking a lot of block damage, I go ahead and put 3 out of 3 in Coagulate and 3 out of 3 in Suture, just to try to minimize that damage. I want to make sure that once the bleed from Double Edge falls off, I'm at like the highest possible health that I can be at because of the block damage, and Man-Thing starts to do pretty crazy block damage. So at this point, I know that it's taken me longer than a minute, and so I know that the invulnerability boost is gone. So I'm taking screenshots so that I can share with the Alliance what the mastery setup is if I end up soloing this fight. Because this is a fight that, it's a new fight, and it's common placement now, or it's going to be kind of meta placement, and we want to make sure that, we're trying to figure out the best strategy. So I've got a maximum boost, max chant boost. I've got the 12% science special damage boost. Again, that's only going to be applied to the L3. And then I've got boosted health and 15% boosted attack. So in this fight, it honestly is kind of straightforward. I'm just going to, you can punish his heavy. I know that he gets an unstoppable charge, but unless you're too early punishing that, you're going to have, like, the timing is right that you can punish his heavy. So I'm trying to beat his L2. He takes like 10 seconds to throw his L2. That's annoying. And again, I did pop in another invulnerability boost, my last one. So I definitely didn't need to bait the L2, but at the same time, I don't. Hopefully, we won't have to use an invulnerability boost every time we fight a Man-Thing boss. Now, one of the reasons that I used the invulnerability boost is because we weren't sure if Yodai placed with Mystic Dispersion. That complicates this fight quite a bit. and Man-Thing's L3 can be hilarious. But you see there that my L3 does 52,000 damage, and on top of that, I'm getting 1,400 incinerate damage per tick. So 2,800 incinerate damage per second on top of 52,000 damage L3. So I've seen some other videos, some other solos against Man-Thing with Rulk, and they've been using various specials like the L1 or the L2. I think that it's not even close. The L3 is the most efficient way to do it. And then you can have max recoil and it not affect you at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and go in here. I don't care. I know that I have 3 indestructible charges left still. I do like this animation. It's super, super cool. Like, Man-Thing really does not look very intimidating, like, except for this L3. It's just like, holy Jesus, that's terrifying. Okay, so I'm going to be throwing my L3 again here. I missed the 20% damage boost. But still, after here, you'll see I do another 52,000 damage. And my incinerate is basically the same. It's about 1,400 per tick. So at this point, I know that I have this fight won. It's just a matter of not messing it up. And you know, one of the things that we try to do is not bait that not dex the L1 just to be safe. But that is the fight. So I paused the video here. Wanted to talk about that. I don't know if Rulk is a sustainable option because I had max suicides, max recoil, max boosts, and I used invulnerability. That is not sustainable. So anyway, that is the war. Sorry for the black screen. I ended up talking a little bit longer than I thought, but that's the war. If you guys have any questions, then post them in the comments. I do read the comments. Probably won't be posting many war videos. I thought at the beginning of the season that I could do this, that I could do another season. I really wanted to, but just the timing, it's just not compatible. I spend way too much time on these videos, and I just don't have that amount of time. Through the 9 wars, I ended up going, I think, 58-2 or 55-2 or something like that. I had 2 deaths, but it was a good season. I'm glad that they cut it short and ended it after the 6th war. Anyway, all right. Thanks for watching, guys.